Hello everybody, my name is Pew Pew Choo Choo and today we'll be playing some Hearts of Iron, Their Finest Hour. This is the latest expansion pack for Hearts of Iron. And well, today I want to be playing a custom game, which is a new feature inside this expansion. And this will allow me to essentially set up a hypothetical scenario inside the game. Now I realize that some people may be new to the game and some people may be fairly familiar with the game, so I think I'll balance it out by explaining everything just by a bit and then going forward on some subjects which I know a little more about. I bought this game on release, the vanilla game, but I haven't really played it all that much since then. So anyways, on with the game. I want to see what happens if Italy was actually prepared for World War II. When Hitler signed a pact with Benito Mussolini, the fascist leader of Italy, he just literally months further down the line, he went to war with Poland, and well, that's how World War II started. However, Benito Mussolini, he wasn't actually prepared for a war on that scale yet. In fact, he was more or less of a coward, really. So he wanted to delay the war by a couple of years until he knew that the Italian army was ready, but Hitler pretty much gave him the runabout. Oh yeah, everything's going to be fine. But immediately after they signed the treaty, they were essentially off to war, right? So what I want to do is I want to make Italy a powerful country by 1939. I'm going to start in 1936 just so that I have a few years to prepare. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just getting our country set up with all the different stats required for that process. It's kind of cool how you can actually customize what your country starts off now. So I removed some of the useless stuff like cavalry, small arms, and cavalry support weapons. Essentially this section, and I'm going to be redistributing those points to things that I think will have a little more usefulness inside our game. And what I'm doing is just picking a few doctrinal stats. It looks like I've already maxed those out, which is perfect. So I imagine Italy being a very powerful country on the land side of things. I don't think we'll be seeing a lot of naval or air combat. I'm definitely going to have a Air Force some point during this campaign. It's just that it's not going to be now or anytime soon, so I think I'll just bolster essentially what we have right this minute. I'm getting a few stats that I think will be really good for our country right now. We'll have a small tank force. That's why I'm getting these tank stats right now. And how you research things in this game is that you distribute leadership. So I'll have 10 points in leadership, which allows me to research 10 things at once. So now that that is done, let's look at some of the other things that we could research in. We can get some stuff in submarines, which I disabled. I can get some stuff in light cruisers, but in general our army is fairly up to date, and that's what I had wanted to accomplish. Now, inside this column right here, this is all of the stuff that you essentially want for your country's doctrine, which will determine how you play the game. I've picked a few things right there just so that we'd be set up when World War II essentially rolls around, because in this game, certain countries like Italy, we won't have enough points to spend on everything, so we'll have to specialize in a few different places. In the meantime, we get to build our army from the ground up, essentially. So I've actually got to disband all of these units so that we have a full bar of IC to spend. That being said, I'll be right back. Okay, welcome back people to Hearts of Iron 3 Finest Hour, and well, as you can see here, I've got my army set up. We have most of the infantry squads up in the north, and we have them spread out pretty well. These are essentially modernized units. They're up to date. with artillery and anti-tank guns, so I think they'll do fine on that front. They have a nice attack power and a nice defense power, and I believe they'll keep up with the times. In Africa, I've essentially made some more infantry and two 10 divisions of these armored divisions, pretty much light armored divisions, which will be the driving force inside Africa. I know that might not mean a lot of stuff to the new players right now, but I believe that'll mean a little more over time. For air power, I've just gotten interceptors, and for the navy, I've gotten a few battleships. A really small, pretty much defensive navy is what I built. And we have a little bit of IC left, so let's build some more infantry. So let's go to infantry troops like that. And let's get a mountain corps. So how does that sound if we do 2 mountain troops, 1 anti-tank, and 1 artillery? And I believe that should be good. I'm not really sure if the benefits do get taken away by these 2 troops. Yeah, but actually, let's not just to not take that chance. I'm going to be building essentially 3 mountain troop, a company like that made out of a corpse. Sorry, not a company. Getting all my words confused right now. A company of mounted troops like that. And why I'm going to be doing that is that I want to be going to war essentially inside hilly areas such as Greece. Greece is a nice hilly area, potentially the Ottoman empires, and a little bits of Russia, namely the border right here. So this will be a specialized task force, and they'll be deployed over here to support the forces over here, of course. So let's go on with the show, and we'll actually start the game right now. So there we go, this is the game layout, as you can see. It looks like we already have a trade offer from Germany. I'm going to automate trade so then the game does everything by itself in terms of balancing our economy, because I don't really need to do that at the moment, so I'll let that run its course. What else do we have? We have 1 single ship. Put that there. Okay. So how this game works is that you obviously have your army, but one of the major things is production and technology. I'll talk about production first. With production, you build different things inside your country. First and foremost, we need to balance out a few of these bars so that we have optimal production. We don't need any reinforcements right now, and we just need the bare basics for supply, so we'll leave it at that. So right now we have 77 IC worth of points to spend on building essentially random stuff that we might need later on. I want more industrial capacity, so I'm going to build it some more in a few major cities, and I'm just going to do that with the hotkey, just clicking through major industrial areas, places that I'm fairly certain won't be that easy to invade, although with Italy that might be a little challenging to find good locations like that. I think I'm just going to spread it around. I'm not going to put anything in Sicily though, because I know that's a bad neighborhood. I'm gonna guess our mountainside over here is a good area to put down a little bit of IC. This way we'll share a common border with Germany later on, once Austria has been dissolved, and that comes in a historical event actually. So once we border with Germany, that front will be neutralized, and that's why I'm building quite a little bit of IC over here. Alright, so now we've gotten a fair bit of it spent to producing goods like that. We can put a little more in, so I think I'm actually going to sprinkle it around the mountains near Switzerland, because Switzerland is fairly neutral. They don't really like to go to war with people over there, so I think we'll be fine on that front. Now the second thing is technology. I've gotten most of our technology set up already with how everything works and all, so I think that will be alright. I could use 1 or 2 more techs, so I'm going to pick up those 2 right now, and this is essentially how I've gotten my tech set up. I'm going to be putting my points into mostly research, as you can see here, so I can research 10 things and I have the rest spread out inside the other columns. Now at this particular time, Italy is actually at war with Ethiopia. This is essentially Benito Mussolini's show war to kind of impress the world and his own people. And well, actually, we don't need to do that. We just need to go to their capital and overtake that. So that's what I'll do. So all of my troops are just going to go to the capital, indicated by this little dot, and take it over. And well, you might ask why I only have mechanized units here, at least the veterans of the series. Now, I understand that these aren't the best units to be fighting on mountainous terrain. Tanks are obviously not as good there as they are on other places, but I feel like it would be fairly useful to level up some of these mechanized units inside this little war. So let's get on started with doing that, and we'll see how combat goes inside this game. Speed things up to full because we don't actually need to micromanage this war, and just essentially let time pass by. Alright, so here we've engaged the enemy inside combat. This is our unit here. The orange bar represents strength, the other bar, the green bar, represents the unit's organization. More than often, you won't be running out of strength. I've only seen our troops collapse due to a lack of organization. So our tank units here are fairly hard to take down because they're obviously armored. They don't have any infantry components on them. They have a good amount of attack, but they don't have a very good combined arms rating. So these units can pretty much force themselves into locations just about anywhere. They aren't very strong, but against these troops they should be alright. So, let's describe what exactly is happening here. So we're attacking from this direction, that's represented by our two units right here. The Ethiopian army is on the side here, and what's essentially happening is that we have two tactics at play here. Our general here is fighting the Ethiopians with an assault, so we get a little bit of a damage boost, and the Ethiopians are defending with whatever this thing is, so they're getting a slight boost as well. We can actually change the aggressiveness of the AI's plans if we wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. That's not really needed here. Coal donations. These are some of the random events that appear in game. Some of them are random, some of them are scripted, actually. So they change over time. Things may happen, might be for the best, might be for the worst. Alright, now we've captured Ethiopia. Our laws change because we can only enact certain things in war, and a notable downside to this is that our consumer goods inside our production index, inside our production distribution, one of the things that happens is that consumer goods increases. So what does this mean in terms of the game, or rather real life? So at war, people are generally acceptive of, well, first and foremost, their country being at war, so they have generally other expectations of what their country should be doing. They won't be producing as many, I don't know, toys for kids, for example. And, well, that is reflected by this consumer goods panel right here. So we have to spend a certain amount of industrial capacity on building things for consumers. So during wartime that'll be really low, and during peacetime that'll be really high, and that's just simply to stop us from building like a huge army with all of our IC in the middle of peacetime, which is happening right now. So now that we've conquered Somaliland and Ethiopia right here, what happened to their army is that they have been puppeted. We put a commander, a leader that is friendly to us into power inside the country of Ethiopia. So now this is essentially a colony. Their army will help us later on. However, their army is quite bad, so I doubt we will be needing them. And oh yes, we are mobilized in peacetime. Always have to remember to switch that thing off. Another major event happens, so we have a major worker strike. No matter what, we're going to get a daily descent change. Sometimes they'll have more than 2 options, sometimes they'll have only 1 option. Normally it's 2, so that's going to increase our descent, which is this value right here. Descent is what happens when you don't put enough points inside consumer goods or supplies, for example. and it just represents general unhappiness by the different populations inside your country. I want to bring our tanks home, so I think I'll bring them to this point right here. Base. That's good. So we've got to make sure that is kept constant throughout, or kept in check throughout the portion of the game. It's a very important aspect of it. It just represents essentially what happens during a crisis like that. Entire conflict. Let's see how many losses we suffered. RIC losses we have taken total. We've lost 7.75 IC. They lost barely anything. So yeah, like I said, the war with Ethiopia wasn't really a big success, but it was definitely not a failure from the point of view of the Italians. Some more stuff going on in the world, yada yada yada. I'm just going to be reassigning some of the research that I have that is being completed right now. I'm going to be assigning it to things that our troops need, such as anti-tank barrel research and artillery research, because our infantry battalions, our infantry divisions are made up of those two subparts. And I see a trade agreement was cancelled. That'll happen throughout the course of the game, obviously for their own reasons. Now, this is a new feature of the game, and I find it really interesting. We actually lost more. Our losses were higher than the Ethiopians in terms of industrial capacity, which means that obviously tanks take a lot more machinery to build and more time to do so than people with rifles, right? So that makes sense, and the manpower loss kind of makes sense. I don't really know that is why that is higher, but oh well. Some more events throughout the world. Well, let's take a look at the espionage system inside the game. So what we're doing right now is that we've put a few points, 2 points into espionage that'll give us a little bit of spies to distribute throughout the world. So what we can do is that we can send some spies into our own country to capture enemy spies. 2 spies caught. Looks like another one just entered the country. And that'll do counter-espionage first. So that's our spies' #1 priority. And then it'll support our ruling party, and then finally it'll raise our national unity over here, which is a little helpful. What are we researching that's so out of time? It's probably the doctor and stuff. I've already gotten most of the things that we absolutely need inside this campaign, so I have a feeling most of the things here will be things that we won't really be researching. I'll get some destroyer techs. I know we need that, because that's all our navy is really made out of, actually. Looks like the artillery stuff is done. So the first little bit of the game, I know it seems a little tedious, but it really is a lot of just micromanaging your country like this. Anti-tank stuff. I want to show you guys the this system before we jump forward. So right now that's doing that in our own country. We want to invade Greece later on, so I'll put 2 bars of spies like that. I want them to kind of eliminate their spies inside their own country, so I'll put 1 level of counter-espionage, 2 levels of military espionage, which will allow us to see what's going on inside their country, and 1 point in covert operations, 1 point in increased threat, and 1 point in support our party. Covert operations generates points for us to use, so if I click on the country of Greece, I can access this menu here and I can do certain things inside the country. I can see that our spies are already doing some work, because now we can see 2 Greece units. Actually, we can see more than 2 Greece units. We have a full stack of units here, and we can see some boats too. So that's what that military espionage is doing. Support our party and increase your threat is more or less on the diplomatic side. Threat will make it so that invading them will be a little less problematic on the diplomatic side of things, and support our ruling party will convert some of their people to fascism over here, which will make our occupation a little easier. So that's why I'm kind of doing that. Increased threat is pretty much like, if you go to war with Germany in 1942, I think everything will be like people on the international scale will be kind of like, oh, they're going to war with the bad guys. It isn't really that much of a problem. They're actually the good people, so yay. However, if you were like Germany and you attack Poland, which has a very low threat value, and Germany has a very high one, relatively speaking, then people are going to be like, oh, like, why the hell is Germany attacking Poland? So it's kind of like that. That's really just to help that out. Well, anyways, that covers the first portion of the game. The war obviously starts in 1939, so I'm going to cut until then. So I'll see you guys later.